Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Are you dreaming of gorgeous dahlias and armloads of beautiful fall bouquets? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the most common pro tips for how you can do this. I'm going to be sharing with you when you should plant your dahlias, how to plant them, how to fertilize them, how to make sure you're supporting your dahlias so they don't topple over, and what do they need in terms of water. Plus, I'm going to share with you the 15 new varieties of dahlias I'm going to be growing in my garden this year, and I picked them specifically so that I would end up creating a beautiful autumn color palette. Before I take you inside the greenhouse and show you the dahlia tubers I'm going to be planting out this year, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Doing that helps me grow my channel. For those of you that have already subscribed, thank you so much. For those of you that have just found me, I am so glad that you are here. I am just your average home gardener here in mid-Missouri. My husband and I happen to live on 10 acres, so the possibilities for gardening are endless. I like all kinds of gardening, but in particular, for sure, my favorite flower to grow are dahlias. Okay, let's go get those dahlias. Those of you who watch my videos, I bring you in the greenhouse a lot. It is a luxury to have a greenhouse, I realize that. And my husband and I saved a long time to purchase this, and it's been one of the best things I've added to my garden. So anyhow, things should look a lot different in here because I have been planting. I'm so tempted to show you what's in here right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus solely on talking about and showing you my dahlias. So in preparing for today's video, I looked at 3 pros out there that I follow when it comes to dahlias. They are all experts in the field. Many of them are growers, breeders, developers, and those would be Christine Albrecht out of California. It would also be Erin from Floret Flower Farm, and she's wildly popular. She's all over social media. She has beautiful books. Anyhow, you need to check her out. I credit her with my love of dahlias. I didn't really know much about dahlias until I watched one of her films years ago and just fell in love with these gorgeous flowers. And lastly, Swan Island Dahlias gives really great tips, very detailed instructions on how to take care of your dahlias, how to plant them, etc., etc. And so I'm using those 3 sources today, and what I find most common that they all share together to pass along to you all. So those are my pro sources for today's video. All right, so one of the things that many dahlia experts are recommending, it's not required, but it's recommended, is to pre-sprout your dahlias. I just did a recent video, and you might want to come in here really close, on how to do this. And so you can see that some of them have shoots coming up, but many of them, I notice, don't have shoots. But what they do is they have eyes. This is super important. You want to make sure these little growth points really start to produce something or wake up, and that way you know that the tubers are viable. So all but just a couple of these have viable looking eyes. And you know, I'm going to go ahead and plant the ones that haven't sprouted yet because the experts say, hey, if they don't sprout, go ahead and stick them in the ground and see what happens. In fact, Swan Island in their information says that when you get your tubers, whether you pre-sprout them or not, plant them when it's the right time and wait 5 weeks. If that growth hasn't popped through the soil and you don't see any green growth on top, then give them a call and let them know for whatever reason that particular tuber was not viable. All right, so we're going to head out into the garden and we're going to get to really the first tip I want to share, and that's about when in the world should you be planting out your dahlias. So this is the bed I have devoted to growing my dahlias this year. It happens to be a 4-foot by 8-foot bed. It's 15 inches deep. It is one of our new Birdie's raised beds. If you haven't heard about them, check them out on the Epic Gardening website. They did not send them to me. I saved my money and bought all of these, but we just love them. So they are full of beautiful raised bed mix that also has some great organic matter and compost in it. So the soil is in great shape. So let's get to that first tip that the pros recommend. When should you plant your dahlias out? You should plant them out about the same time in your area when you would plant tomatoes and peppers. The soil temperature needs to be 60 degrees. Here we are mid-May, easily time. In fact, if you pan over here, you can see I have already planted a bunch of tomatoes and peppers. So it is go time in my mid-Missouri garden. All right, so now that we know when we should plant them out, let's talk about how to plant. All right, let's talk about how to plant. What do the pros recommend? Well, they recommend that you dig and plant your tubers 4 to 6 inches below the top of the soil. Easy. I'm going to use my little auger drill here and drill my holes for each tuber. They recommend that you space your dahlias 12 to 24 inches apart. I am going to split the difference and I'm going to dig my holes 18 inches apart. Yeah, so that's basically how to plant them in terms of what depths. So I'm just going to get to it. I think I have 15. I'm gonna go count them real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna drill 15 5-inch deep holes. All right, first step is getting them in the ground. I'm gonna use my auger. I'm gonna probably drill a few little holes because sometimes tubers are long, which you'll see when I pull them out, and sometimes they're teeny tiny. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drill enough holes so that it'll accept any tuber size. And I'm gonna go with spacing around 18 inches. They might have to be a skosh closer, but anyway, so I have my little trusty tape measure because whoops, I am not very good with measuring. And so, you know, I have to use my tools, right? We all have to use different tools. Some of you are great at measurements and you just eyeball it, but I don't mind having a little tool handy. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do. So I'll drill the holes about 5 inches deep, and then we'll come back and talk about what I need to put in the holes before I put the tubers in. Okay, next pro tip for you is how to feed your dahlias, and a lot of pros out there recommend you add bone meal at planting time, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Why bone meal? Because it's low in nitrogen, high in phosphorus, and 0 potassium. In fact, this is a 2-17-0. So those of you out there that are into the NPK of fertilizers know why this is so important. Great for root development, but also big on pumping out flowers. So I'm just going to take a handful in each hole. That's all that they suggest doing, so that's what I'm going to do. And you want to be upwind because it's dusty, that's for darn sure. Whoops. We don't need that in our hole, do we? Yeah. Okay, so first one going in is Mission Abyss. Very important, all the pro tips. Look, it's got some nice roots. It's got some green. Don't worry about that green. It can go under the soil. It's not gonna harm it at all. All right, you see how that is? So I'm gonna lay it down, again, about 5 inches. I'm going to leave this tag right here because I have permanent tags I'm going to use. I'm not going to cover it yet because you're going to see in just a little bit, I'm going to get my bamboo stakes and I'm going to drive a stake down here so I don't pierce the tuber. You want to add your stakes for support while you're planting. You don't want to come in later and try to stake them because you could pierce your tuber. All right, so Mission Abyss. Next up is Diva. You know, believe it or not, if you come in really close, it is viable. Diva has a teeny tiny eye. She's not nearly as far along as the other one that I just planted, Mission Abyss, but Diva is a beautiful purple. All right, Diva. I'm just gonna set you right there. I'll just set them in the hole and then remove them when I go along. All right, let's come down here. Let's see. All right, this little one, I don't think it's viable. It doesn't look like anything, but I'm planting it. Gloria Van Noordwijk. All right, it's going in. Next, My Forever. And lastly, Peaches and Cream. This is a KA, or Christine Albrecht. I'm concerned because, look, that's for sure not viable. Do you see that? Dadgummit, and this is one I really wanted to grow. Ugh. That's disappointing. That's not gonna do anything. Well, that is a real bummer because this is one I paid a lot of money for and it rotted. Dadgummit. All right, well, Peaches of Cream, you're out. Let's find something else to go in your place. All right, now I'm switching it up to the Swan Island Dahlias that I purchased. So instead of Peaches and Cream, Summer's End. Gonna go right down there. All right, Summer's End. And then here in the center, I made 3 holes, but I'm only gonna use 2 now because Peaches and Cream was rotten. All right, let's see. And this one I'm worried about too for viability. But oh my gosh, okay. I was so worried, but come in here. Do you see those 2 little eyes? Okay. Didn't think it was viable, but it is. This one is called Nighty Night. I know it's a deep dark dahlia. Okay, let me try to hang on to as many of the roots as I can. Okay, this one is spooktacular. Look at that root development. Now this is one I said that I would probably snip off all that extra green. So spooktacular is going down in there. And then I'm gonna come around on the other side and finish up. Here we go on the other side. Let's see what we got here. Swan Island, nice viable tuber. See that purple? This one is one I've wanted to grow forever and ever, Cornell Bronze. Supposed to be highly prolific. And that's what we're all about, right? We want tons of beautiful flowers. Next up is Sun-Kissed. And again, I wasn't sure it was viable, but there are 2 little beautiful eyes. I think I need to make my hole bigger. All right, just 3 left, moving down the row. All right, what do we have here? We have Marn. This is also supposed to be highly prolific, highly recommended by lots of growers. Here's my freebie tuber, free gift with purchase, or no, actually, I wanted to get, oh, I can't remember. I wanted to order a certain one and they didn't have it. They were all out of them this year, so they gave me Mai Tai instead. And when I put the picture on the screen, Mai Tai probably is not very autumnal. I think it sounds to me very tropical. So we'll put Mai Tai in there. And last but not least, our biggest one, Oh my gosh, look at this baby. Look at the roots. Whoa. Gets crazy. Perfect name for my biggest, craziest tuber. All right, and it's big, so I don't think I made my hole long enough to accept this gets crazy tuber. So I better make it longer by using my hand trowel. Sorry about the wind, but that's life in mid-Missouri when you garden this time of year. Oh my gosh, constant. All right, let's get crazy, gets crazy. And again, I'm gonna take out this center stem. Ooh, that's not even quite long enough, dang. Goodness sakes. All right. I think I'm gonna go, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I think I'll go just like so. All right. All right. Everybody's down in their holes. Now I'm gonna grab my stakes, my bamboo stakes, place them, cover everything back up, and then we'll talk some more. They're in, they're labeled. You want to label your tubers. They all look the same, right? I mean, there's no way I can tell them apart. And so you notice me take the labels off the little ones because I keep those. When I dig these up in the fall, I'll use those labels in the storage bags for each individual tuber. And so I put in the permanent labels. I know I label a lot in my garden. I happen to have a lot of garden tours here. And when you're growing so many wonderful things, I can't remember variety names, so that helps me a lot. But okay, next pro tip, a light layer of compost on top of each plant is all that's needed. That's what I'm going to do. I have the Land and Sea organic compost that you know I love, but any high quality compost that's organic will work beautifully. The next pro tip I want to talk to you about is watering. The pros recommend when you plant your tubers, do not water them in. Let them grow, and until you see most of them sending up their shoots, that doesn't count. When they start to break the surface of the soil, then you can start watering. They need about 1 to 2 inches of water a week. You know that we use drip irrigation, and so I'm gonna need to lay my drip lines. I've got 4 of them in the 4-foot wide bed. So I'm gonna lay this now, pin them down, but I'm not gonna water these until I see shoots, and it usually takes a couple of weeks. But you know, we'll just watch the plants, they'll tell us what to do. So how am I, even though other things are on drip, how am I gonna control this bed so that it gets no extra water? Right down here, come around here and I'll show you what my husband installed. Every one of our raised beds has this on-off valve. This is in the off position. So this will get no drip irrigation until, as I said, they've broken through the surface of the soil. When it's time to do that, I'll turn it up and boom, they'll get water just like some of my other plants. So let me lay the drip back in place, and I think there'll probably be at least one more pro tip to share before we're done. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I got my beloved dahlias in the ground. The only thing that is left for me to do is to mulch. And I am not going to mulch over the top of this beautiful compost because I don't want to make it so hard for those tender green shoots to get through the soil, 5 inches up, break through a little bit of compost. If I added the mulch on top of that, I think that might make it a little difficult. But let me show you my mulch of choice in my raised bed garden, and these are shredded leaves. Those that follow my videos, you know this is my favorite thing to use in lots of places in the garden, but especially in my raised bed garden. My husband and I shred these leaves every fall. They are free, they are organic, and they will infuse nutrients and organic matter into the soil over time. So they're going to stay here all winter long. So I will be, as I said, putting mulch strategically. Once everything breaks through the surface, then number one, like I said a minute ago, I'll start watering. And number two, I will complete the rest of the bed with this beautiful shredded leaf mulch. So I hope you enjoyed some of the pro tips that I have discovered through watching and reading all about dahlias. I mean, why not try what the pros try? It works for them. They are pros for a reason. And so I hope some of these tips for you will help you in your own garden. And if you're growing dahlias, oh, you have my heart because they are indeed my favorite cut flower of all time. So until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.